And welcome to Division Round Morning Tailgate, brought to you by Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I'm the host, Big B, along with my co-host. Hopefully, Mess Around hops on. We know this is a little early for him, and he's got stuff going on. So if he's on, he's on. But I'm with the working man, the weatherman, the syrup crispy bacon
Everything.
man. How you doing, Chris?
Not too bad. Divisional round. Two games in the books, two games to
Yep,
go.
yep.
Playoffs are, shaping up to be really well.
Yep, and then below us, halfway around the world as usual, the Prime Moose, Tim Hendricks. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Like Bacon says, the playoffs are just crazy, and I honestly think I'm gonna shock some people with some picks today.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about those games yesterday. I didn't get to see them. Saw the score, saw some highlights. The first game, Jacksonville versus Kansas City. Closer than I thought it would be, but Mahomes was out with an injury for about a quarter and a half. It sounds like. Chris, you broke in with the oh no and freaked everybody out. So, Chris, what's your thoughts
Yeah.
on that first game?
No, it was a really close game. Kansas City, their fans brought the crowd, like they usually do. I think it kind of hurt Trevor Lawrence, a little bit. He said he could handle it. I don't think he could. He had trouble a lot. But it was still a close game. They caught up a little bit, made it a 7 point game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but Mahomes, I think he's going to be okay. He's more of a scrambling quarterback. I know that's usually an issue, but he can also, throw it on his opposite leg, so like his plant leg. I think I think he'll play in the championship game.
All right. Tim, how about you? What do you think of that first
Yeah,
game?
it when Crispy broke in with oh no, I thought Kansas City sunk into the Mississippi. I didn't have a clue what was going on. I didn't see it, but if Kansas City's going to have problems with injuries with Mahomes going into the AFC Championship game, they're going to have a problem with whoever wins today's game. But if Mahomes is going to be there on Sunday, I think Kansas City's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think Mahomes is kind of one of those now where, if he's on the field, he's going to be scary no matter if he's healthy or injured. Yeah, a more healthier Mahomes is going to be more scary than Mahomes battering a few injuries, but you're not. He's kind of like the Tom Brady. You can't count against him when he's out on the field.
No,
For me, the one bright spot for Jacksonville, I think. I mean, they kept it close. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was the video going viral where you see Lawrence walking into the locker room or the tunnel, and then stops, turns around, and then gives high fives to every teammate that walks by him. I mean, that just shows leadership. I think. He could have just went straight to the locker room, changed, relaxed, got out of there. But you know, I think they're going to be back. They're going to be tougher next year. They're getting a weapon they traded for this season coming in. So
yeah,
watch out
after
for
being
Jacksonville.
suspended,
So what's that, Chris?
yeah,
Yeah. So Jacksonville's going to be, and then the second game was Chris's division.
yeah.
The Eagles versus the Giants.
I
After
totally
the
picked
first
that wrong.
touchdown, it was nothing. So Tim, break down that game a little bit.
It was over by halftime. I never like you and I were talking about before the working man got on.
Uh-huh.
The whole game was over at halftime, 28-0, and I don't think the Giants had a Viking type mentality to come back late in that game. Yeah, they scored in the third quarter, but other than that, it just seemed like there was some type of miss. Like supposedly there's some cryptic tweet that Daniel Jones had put on Twitter, but I didn't understand it. I didn't read it. But this team is scary. This team's got potential of being scary. And I'm talking about the Giants because the Eagles we already know is scary.
Yeah. Yeah, the Giants this season started off tough, and everybody, it was one of those teams where we kind of counted them out, but it's like, okay, they're hanging in there, but I still can't pick them because I don't believe in them. Chris, what did you think of the game?
Yeah, I totally got that wrong. I mean, I thought it was going to be a game, like a close game, like we saw in that Kansas City Jacksonville game. It was not. It was nowhere near that. Giants got only 7 points on the board, which is, I guess, good. It wasn't a total shutout, but Daniel Jones hasn't been in this position. Hurts has, and it's kind of the whole experience versus, rookie in the playoffs kind of thing. We saw it earlier in the day. We're seeing it now with this game. I think experience matters.
Yeah, I think definitely it's going to be experience. I mean, I think somebody posted too that all the quarterbacks now are like mobile running quarterbacks. So,
Yeah.
that's the way the league is going now. So, but I got a question here. One of our tough questions before we move on. Actually, Tim, I think you posted it in our chat. We see on Facebook a lot of these. They'll throw up 2 players, 3 players. One must go. You must start one. Who do you do? I'm going to change it
Yeah.
up a little bit from what Tim posted. It's one's got to go. You got Eric Dickerson, Peterson, Emmitt Smith. I'm also going to add in Walter Payton and Barry Sanders into this mix.
Oh.
So, Chris, I know you're not old enough to, really see
I've
the
seen
other guys. I mean, you
I've
saw
seen
highlights.
highlights. Yeah,
So,
in a couple
Chris,
games. Yeah.
how would you? I mean, even if you had to put them in a ranking on who you would keep, go 1 through 5. So, Chris, who would you be your number one guy? I guess.
I guess Dickerson would be. I know he was a tough competitor. He rolled over everybody
Okay.
when he played. I would put Adrian Peterson maybe second.
Ooh, over Smith. Okay, I like that.
Uh, Barry Sanders was tough, so I'd probably put him
Yeah.
3.
Okay.
Who was the other guy? I know
Walter Payton
Emmett.
and Emmitt Smith.
Actually, put Walter Payton second,
Okay.
and then we'll put Emmitt Smith in there.
Okay. All right, Tim. I know you're kind of thinking. I'll go with mine. I'll let you think a little bit longer. For me, as much as Emmitt Smith did for Dallas, he had that amazing offensive line. Anybody, I think myself, Tim, Chris could run behind that offensive line and get, about
Probably.
80% of the yards Emmitt Smith got. I'm going Barry Sanders as my guy I'm keeping as my number one because Barry Sanders can go from 0 to, quickness in less than a second. He can stop on a dime turn. The guy misses him. My number 2 guy, I got to go with Sweetness, Walter Payton. After that, Dickerson. And it's a toss-up between Peterson and Emmett on who I want to go because, like I said, Emmett got that offensive line that, I think, but I can't take away for what he did. So I would probably go Emmitt Smith as my 4 and Peterson be my number 5 and pretty much gone. So, Tim?
I'm regretting both putting that in our group. My number 1, it's going to be number 1 every day. I was so happy to see him live. Walter Payton.
Yeah.
What Walter did with power, finesse. He could throw out of the backfield. He was a hell of a receiving running back. Believe me, if Walter Payton ran behind Emmitt Smith's line, Walter Payton's got 25,000 yards, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
My number 2 is Barry Sanders because he is a video game. He's literally a video game, an NFL player that is video games are made after. To do what you do, you have to be. He's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
Everything he does, and he had a terrible line. Again, if he had Emmitt Smith's line, even if he had Walter Payton's line, he's getting 20,000 yards.
Yeah.
My personal favorite running back would be number 3. I'm a big Eric Dickerson fan. Huge Dickerson fan. I was happy that he played for the Colts. I think he looked awesome in the blue and yellow in Los Angeles with the Rams. His little brief time, I think he did with the Raiders and the Falcons, real brief time. But the goggles, to me, he ran so fast, but he looked like he was running slow.
Yeah.
It was always amazing to watch. Dickerson would have, again, Emmitt, and I'm a Gator fan, so this is really going to be, when you hear that I put Emmitt Smith number 5, it's kind of freaky. But yeah, Peterson number 4. He all these running backs could have ran from the 40s to now. Every running back of this group could easily come in and start in any team at any era in the NFL. And Emmitt Smith, it's as a Gator fan, I didn't even remember that he was a Gator until afterwards. But what he did with Dallas, he got blessed. He got blessed with an offensive line. If you had an all-world line like that, I swear you could put a midget behind them and he'd run for 1,000 yards in a season. But sometimes you get blessed, and Jerry Jones was smart enough to understand that you needed to put an all-world offensive line, an all-pro offensive line, and it showed. And you got to thank the Minnesota Vikings for giving them 3/4 of that line. But yeah, that's the way I would go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Those are always fun to sit there and debate because everybody's got their own opinion. So, all right, so let's get into some hot topics here. NFL world. The first one, Minnesota Vikings. I'll start. Actually, I'll leave that one for stop messing around. I can't think of who just interviewed for coaching positions. Peyton.
The enemy.
Oh yeah, we'll get to enemy, but Sean Payton, he's been flopping around. His name's been out there. Where do we think this guy's going to end up? I mean, obviously he's going to be there. I think right now we're looking at 4 openings, roughly
4 or 5, yeah,
4 or 5.
So Tim, where do you think he's going to end up?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I think he goes to Houston. I think he has a home still in New Orleans, so he's not that far. It'd be I think it might be 3-4 hours.
And I believe a trade has to be made.
Right. But it's from what I'm understanding is they're looking for a mid-first and a following year third. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And Houston has it. But I think it's still the region. He doesn't have to move far. He doesn't have to disrupt his family. I think Houston would be a good spot. And if that's the case, I'd be scared for the AFC South.
All right. Chris?
Yeah, I think Houston would be a good spot. I know he was not him in general, but I know Denver was interested in him. I think that would probably go to Quinn, which is disappointing, but I'm sure that will happen. I'm thinking Houston for Peyton.
Yeah, I kind of like the Houston one. I kind of do.
That'd be a scary
odds-on
team.
favorite, I believe, is Denver. He's already interviewed once.
I think that would go to Quinn for Denver.
No, who knows? I mean, it's way early. I mean, granted, we'll do a show after the Super Bowl, and all our picks will probably be different. But
probably,
I do like the Houston take, but I think he's going to end up in Denver. I think so. Enemy. Just interviewed. I think Tim said with the Colts backstage. So Tim, where do you think he's if he gets a job? I mean, he's somebody sees something in him every time he interviews and he doesn't get a job. So is he going to get one this year?
I hope, and I think we've had this conversation where I really wish they'd had hired him before they went the right way. But that didn't work out. Like we made, he's got to be. There's got to be something that makes other team GMs and owners not want to hire him. And I hate to say that because look at the teams that he's the offensive coordinator for. It's and he can't be afraid about his play calling because he calls plays. You won't have the Nathaniel Hackett problem.
Yeah.
I don't think I honestly, if he doesn't go to Indy, I think he stays in Kansas City.
Chris?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell where he'll be. It's just hard. I hope he gets hired somewhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough because I mean he's been the top candidate almost every year for the last 4 years, roughly, and he's gotten shut down every time. So, yeah, I think Tim's right. Unless somebody else merges, I think if it's not the Colts, I think he goes back to KC. Tampa Bay, I think released like half their staff, including offensive coordinator Leftwich. Do we see Leftwich going anywhere soon? I mean, again, we know it's early. I mean, our predictions can change. So, Tim, where do you think Leftwich could end up?
Here's where I think if the enemy goes to Indianapolis, I wouldn't be too shocked if Leftwich signs with Andy Reid over in Kansas City. I think it wouldn't be a bad move. He's ready. He's going from he'd be going from Tom Brady to Pat Mahomes, and at that point it would be even scarier. He's not. I think he's going to be making more of a offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator jump, and not an offensive coordinator to a head coach. Because if he would have gotten the head coaching job in Tampa after Arians left, I think he should have gotten the job for Tampa after Arians left. But he took a step back when he stayed at the offensive coordinator.
Gotcha. Chris, how about you? What do you think the future for Leftwich is going to be?
Ooh. I think he'll be another offensive coordinator. He'll have another job there. I don't think he's ready or wants to be in that head coaching role. But maybe down the line we'll see it.
I think he wants to be in the head coaching role. I think he's going to take his time. I don't think, just because, and it possibly could have been different if, Tampa Bay's offense would have lit the world on fire, and then we're talking head coach. But I think he's going to go, maybe KC if Enemy leaves. Maybe he joins Enemy in Indy. Who knows? I mean, if he goes there. I mean, so, all right. So let's get into some quarterbacks. We'll start off with Adam Barber's first comment here. Welcome, Adam. He got an alert yesterday that the GM for the Packers said there's a chance Rodgers is traded this offseason if he doesn't retire. That's a good chance.
I've heard that from Tampa Bay too, though. Not the trading part, but
yeah, we'll get to Brady. But Chris, what do you think it's going to take to move Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay?
Well, maybe he traded to Chicago. I don't know, but I think he's staying in Green Bay. I think he wants to finish his career in Green Bay. Maybe he feels like they have a good team, a good coach. They kind of had a groove, finally this season, and maybe that will translate to, 2023 season. Maybe if he is there, he'll have some input. I know everybody does, but he'll probably have some input, with the draft and free agency. But I think he'll stay.
All right, you think he's staying in Green Bay? So, all right. So, Tim,
I think he's retiring.
Ooh.
I honestly think he's retiring. Or you could do like every other person from Wisconsin and retire to Arizona or to Florida. But no, I think he's done. Just some of the reaction after that last game where he wasn't giving away his jersey and says, "No, I'm thinking about keeping this one." You kind of think that the signs are all pointing that he's going to pack it in and have to spend some time traveling the world, or maybe you go to Thailand with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I'm kind of undecided right now because I mean, like Tim said, he didn't give away his last jersey, so that could be one of the things that I think his Green Bay career is over. I don't think he's staying. Does he retire? Does he get traded? That's going to depend on one Rodgers, but what team's going to give up what Green Bay wants or thinks they want, and plus the dead cap hit. I think it's like 25 million or something like that. So, that contract, I think going into next year, you're looking at $100 million still left on the contract. So who's going to take
Well,
that? Green Bay's going to have to eat up a lot of that.
You've got Chicago, who's got 117 million in contract and cap.
Yeah, I mean, mess around. If he goes to
that's right,
Chicago, I mean, but
I don't think he'll watch if he goes to Chicago.
I kind of go 55-45 that he retires because I don't think a lot of teams are gonna call on it, but I don't think they're going to unless Green Bay's like, yeah, we'll take 70% of his salary cap, we'll eat it. I mean, there's a couple
teams that
could make a move for him, but
Houston,
yeah, Peyton goes to Houston, but who knows?
You give up a two?
It's early, but he's done in Green Bay. I think we're going to see the Love era, and if he comes back to Green Bay, Love wants out. So
did you saw that the Jets, where Joe Namath said that he'd unretire the number 12 if he comes to the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets and the Raiders. Adams said.
I was thinking the Raiders, because
Raiders
Devontae Adams is there. Yeah,
but the Raiders don't have much assets to give up. I don't believe.
No.
So, Jets, Jets are the Jets. I mean, what's the likelihood of the Jets getting two Hall of Fame quarterbacks a year removed from Green Bay, and then that Hall of Fame quarterback ends up in Minnesota? I mean, we know history repeats itself, but
we're in a time machine and we're going back to 2008, 2009.
Yeah, no, I don't think Rodgers will be in Minnesota, but another quarterback, Tom Brady. What's he finally going to do? Retire, move on? He is a free agent, I believe now. So, Chris, where do you think Tom Brady's going to end up?
Back in the NFL, and I think it's going to be with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, coming back.
He's not going to end his career like he did, losing to Dallas or losing in the first round. I think he wants revenge. It's rare he loses in the first round of the playoffs. Of course, his teams don't normally play in Wild Card Weekend, so it's kind of a rarity. But I think he wants somewhat of a revenge. I think he wants to show people that he can still play. He still has the urge for football, and he wants to continue his career. That or become a coach. I don't know which, but
I can't see Tom Brady being a coach. I don't know. It just to me doesn't have that feel that he wants to be a coach.
Yeah,
broadcaster for sure. He's got that big multi-year deal with Amazon. Is it or
who does?
Brady. He's already got.
With Fox.
It's Fox. Yeah, it's Fox.
Okay, so Tim, where do we see Brady at next year?
At his couch. I think we lose. I think this is the year that we get two best of the all time sitting down. I think they're done. I think they're both done. I think this is the year two 12s leave.
All right. So for me, I really think he's going to retire. But I think if Miami calls and they're unsure about Tua's situation, he plays 1 year in Miami. I don't know why. I mean, I know he's been tied there. I know there was rumors last year he was going to be a silent partner or a little partner, and Peyton was going to come there and he was going to be the first player coach or player owner.
Houston? Can he
No,
go to
Miami.
Houston? No, he could go to Houston. Peyton goes to Houston. He goes to Houston.
Yeah, yeah.
I could
But,
see if he
but
goes to another
I think
team.
the long shot is Miami. I think I should say long shot. I think retirement 1, Miami 2, returning to New England
I was gonna
3,
say
returning to Tampa Bay 4. I'd rank it like
going
that.
to Vegas 5.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
McDaniels.
I know everybody talks Vegas. I think Vegas is going to draft somebody. I think, or
And I don't
they're
think
going to
he's
make a
going.
move for another quarterback that we're going to talk about right now.
And I don't think he's going to San Francisco because San Francisco's Stockton quarterback.
Well,
so.
okay, let's get to the San Fran situation then. You know, Tim brought it up. You got Jimmy G, you got Trey Lance, you got Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. Tim,
Yeah.
what do you do if you're San Fran?
Get rid of Jimmy G. It's just at this point, Jimmy G's is his upside and stock potential is so huge that you could get so much from Jimmy G that it's like fantasy football. You get rid of the best player after he's had a great week, and then you try to build your team. You do the same thing in the NFL. You send Jimmy G to Las Vegas, or you send him to someplace that's got draft capital, and you basically fill your coffers with what they've got. And I think Jimmy G's gone. You start Brock Purdy. You have Trey Lance as your backup.
So you're penciling Purdy in
it's ink.
Number 1 guy?
It's in ink.
It's in ink. He's the number 1 guy
It's
going
in
into
ink.
next year.
I don't know about that.
All right, Chris. Well, let's get your side. What do you do if you're San
No.
Fran?
I think.
We know you like DiNucci for Dallas.
No. No.
Trade DiNucci for Garoppolo, and
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. He's in the XFL. But, I think Purdy's probably going to be your starter next year. Next season. But I saw a thing where if they make the Super Bowl, Jimmy G is going to start that.
No,
that would be dumb.
They would be foolish to do that.
That's why I said I don't know.
What you read,
and then you fire John Lynch.
Yeah. But if I was running it, I'd start Purdy, and then you would have Lance as your backup. Try to trade off Jimmy G somewhere, and maybe draft a third string, maybe.
Trade him to Green Bay.
So
you're gonna need a quarterback.
Adams chimed in and said Kyle Shanahan said Jimmy G could be the starter if healthy next week.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I saw that too.
But at the Super Bowl, yeah. Or at least,
I don't know. San Fran. I mean, if you're playing Jimmy G, you're showing because he's healthy. I mean that's the only way you play him. Because to me, the further you get along in the playoffs with Brock Purdy, the more solidified he's the starter. Yes, I know we've had the debate. Look at the weapons he has. No doubt about that. I mean, but again, he got into the right situation, just like we talked about Emmitt Smith earlier. He was in the right situation, Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, so you can't fault him for that. If I'm San Fran, Jimmy G's my odd man out. I take the best offer I get. Trey Lance, on the other hand, if he thinks he can start somewhere, there's a few openings. I'd probably, try to see what I got there. But I'm going Purdy, Lance, 1-2, San Fran.
Yeah.
So Jimmy G, we got him on the trading block. I know a lot of people are saying San Fran or Vegas, Houston. I mean, could use them. Washington could use them if they don't believe in Heineke. Where do we think Jimmy G's going to go? Back to New England? I mean, Tim?
I'm going to throw out a name is going to be scary, and you brought it up before. If this team doesn't get Tom Brady, you trade for Jimmy G and you send him to Miami.
I like it. Chris?
Miami, good spot. Arizona. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
Arizona. Well,
maybe as a temporary backup, maybe help Kyler Murray out.
oh,
I
you're not
don't
paying.
know.
You're not
No,
bringing.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
Chris,
You're not
Jimmy
bringing him
G's
to
got
back
some
up.
crap to him. You're not putting him on the backup. I
Mike,
mean,
my question is though, if you bring Jimmy G, are you going to make sure you're going to keep Hopkins because D Hops wants out. He
Yeah,
wants to
he
be
does.
traded.
yeah,
So but that might be one way, and that's not a bad call to get
no,
Jimmy
it's not.
G in Arizona. But you can't. I wouldn't be. I'd be starting him over Kyler Murray
Yeah,
right from day one,
and that's a lot of money to put on your bench, both of them.
that may keep D Hop in Arizona. So
Oh, Adam, you're starting to sound like another guy that's getting on my nerves with the Vikings. I mean, honestly, yeah, we'll talk about the Vikings here in a second. So we got Jimmy G going to Miami with their situation. Tua, let's put Tua out there. What do you do if you're Miami and Tua, or Tua in general, Tim? You're Tua. What do you do?
if I'm Tua, I want to play at
Oh
this
yeah,
point. I absolutely agree with him. There's a bigger upside with Tua than there is with Kyler Murray. I'll tell you that right
yep.
now. My worry, and if I'm the training staff, he's had 2 major concussions in one season,
And it affected him
and
3 times, I think.
yeah, and it's infected him 3 times. You're right,
Yeah.
and I'd be worried. Yeah, granted, this isn't the 1990s, 1980s, and 1990s where you gave him an aspirin and sent him back on the field. This time we're paying attention.
We're more
If he
advanced.
gets exactly more advanced headaches, but I think and he's right. Adam's right. When Tua is healthy, he's top 10, top 15.
Oh yeah.
He plays good, and
Yeah.
again, but he could also be a product of his weapons.
Yep.
He had what he had. He's got Kellen Moore. Has he got Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator?
No, that's
No.
Dallas.
Where's okay? But they've got the right system there for Tua. Problem is they need to draft linemen.
Yep.
I think it's this next year. I think this next year for Tua is gonna dictate everything else in his career. I think he needs to take a long, hard thought process look about what happens if he gets dinged again, because it could be a next time problem.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. You're taking all offseason. You're having consultations with your doctor, the team doctors, a third party doctor, your family, your close friends, your teammates. I mean, you're talking with everybody daily.
Yeah.
And if I'm, Tua, you're right, Tim. If I'm healthy, I want to play. Even if you're not healthy, you still want to play. You still want to be a part of the team. But this is serious. And if I'm the Dolphins, yeah, I'm gonna, make a decision. Be like, okay, Tua, you want to come back? Okay, let's do it this way. We're gonna bring in this guy to be number one for right now. Let you get healthy. If it's mid-season, doctors clear you 100%. You're only going to put the pads on if you're 100%. Plain and simple. And deal with head injuries. That may never happen. I mean, you may be but you're one hit away. I mean, we could see a more serious injury like we did a couple weeks ago in the Buffalo game. So, there was another question here. We'll get to the Chardell's top 5. I thought there's somebody else had, but Chris, I want to ask you, because you got 2 decent running backs on your team. What does Dallas do with your running backs? I mean, you got Zeke,
Pollard.
you got Pollard. I mean,
our main thing is Pollard right now. Zeke's locked up. Pollard's a free agent after the year. If you want to keep him, you got to sign him. I think they're good. I would sign them. I think they're a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
I think
that's a lot of money in the backfield there.
It is. But we got like 14, 15 free agents. So, it's hard to pick who's going to stay or not. But I would try to keep him as much as I can.
All right. Tim, what do you do? Pollard's free agent. You got Zeke.
It depends on what you guys do in this postseason. If you guys, and I'm gonna boost up Bacon's ego here. And if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, Pollard's gone. I'll tell you that right now. He's gone.
Wow.
He's already got the ring. What's he need another one? He can go. And this is a lot like a lot of superstars players. Okay, I did it here, but can I go do it there? Or can I go do it there? Could you see him going just down the road? They win a Super Bowl in Dallas, and he just goes down the road to Houston. Or he goes up
To
the
New
road.
Orleans.
He goes or he goes to New Orleans, or he goes up to. I was going to say St. Louis, but they went to Los Angeles.
Do you need a map behind you to tell you where all your teams are?
But he could go to Tennessee. He could go to Atlanta.
Green Bay.
Green Bay's got
their
two problems. They got two running backs there, and the one's worried about they need to get rid of one. But if they win a Super Bowl, I think he leaves. If they don't win a Super Bowl, I think he stays.
Okay. So then, do they move Zeke, or they keep the 1-2 punch?
No, you keep the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I kind of like the 1-2 punch, but I could see Zeke getting kind of a little ego, wanting to be the guy, so they still the guy and try to move his way out of there.
That's because he's an Ohio State running back.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if Dallas is smart, they keep both of them, and then if not, you move Zeke. I think he can stay with the younger guy. So
Zeke has a big contract, though. I don't know.
Yeah, he does. He's another one. So. These contracts are getting huge at teams.
But I think Pollard's still on his rookie deal.
Yeah, but Pollard will be a free agent this year, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna get paid. So Chardell, our good friend Chardell, wants to know our top 5 running backs. I'm gonna assume that he's talking current running backs. So Tim, your top 5 current running backs.
My top 5 current running backs. I got to know my current running backs.
I was gonna say I don't know any of them really.
Well, I think 3 are for sure. Maybe 4. I mean,
well, how do I go number 1? One, I would go Derrick Henry, because if you don't go King Henry, then you just. And this is coming from a guy whose guy was the leading rusher last year. If he's healthy, Jonathan Taylor, number 2.
Ooh.
Austin Eckler, number 3. CMC, I'm pleasantly surprised I can say is number 4.
Wow.
And holy hell. I gotta remember my line. I gotta remember my backs.
I know I'm doing the same thing.
Dalvin Cook, number 5.
Okay. All right, Chris. I know you said you don't, so you can keep kind of researching. But for me, when healthy, my 1-2 is a flip flop. I mean, CMC and King Henry. I think you can flip flop them. CMC could do a lot out of the backfield. Henry could do something too, but CMC can still throw the ball too. So he's kind of a triple threat back there. Excuse me, number 3. I gotta go Pollard. I think Pollard's, I think he's gonna show that he's, again, battle a little bit of injury, but I think if he gets that rock, he's gonna carry it. Number 4, I gotta go Dalvin Cook. When healthy, he can still hang in there. Vikings have a nice 1-2 punch, and there's a lot of questions of what they're going to do with Cook. So, number 5, I'll go with Jonathan up there with the Colts when healthy. I think he could be a big stud. So, Chris, you got your top 5?
He's going by stats, so he's going to cheat.
Yeah. No, I'm not. We'll go Derrick Henry 1.
Yeah.
We'll go McCaffrey 2, Cook 3, We'll go Barkley 4.
Ooh.
And
Barkley is a good one. I
Yeah.
got to give it to him on that.
we'll go with the Colts.
Oh, the Johnson. Okay,
No, all three of them. All three of the running backs.
all three of them. All right. So we got that. So let's break into today's games. I don't think there was any other players I wanted to talk about today, but season's winding down. So let's get into today's games. We got the rematch. I guess from
Somewhat
a couple weeks
rematch.
ago. It's going to be a very hyped up game. I think a very emotional game. We got Cincinnati versus the Bills. Tim, what do you think of this matchup? And let's remind everybody: Bills win. Next week's game's at a neutral site.
I think this is going to be the game of the playoffs. I really think this is going to be. I think this game is got the potential. Let's not forget when everything went down with DeMar back 3 weeks ago. The Bengals were leading. I really think that the Bengals are going to win this game. I really do. I eventually, and I like sentiment, but I really think the sentiment dies in Buffalo today.
Okay. Weatherman Crispy Bacon. What's the weather like going to be in Buffalo?
It looked like it was going to be sunny.
Okay. So who are you
but
taking?
I'm taking Cincinnati. Yeah. I'm taking Cincinnati. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game. Both teams really want
Both
to
of these two games, I think, are going to be some close games.
It's going to be a fun day.
Tim, I get your point, but and Burrow's played great against superstar quarterbacks, or his team has, I guess. I should say him. I just think the emotion is just going to be, especially if Hamlin will probably be there. He'll probably, drive the team. I gotta go Buffalo. Just being at home. If it was flip flopped, I mean, this is a game where the coin flip could have played a factor and all that mess. But I'm gonna go Buffalo. But I think you're right, Tim. I think this is gonna be the game of the week of the playoffs.
We'll go to overtime.
Cincinnati takes it.
Oh no! Why do you have to jinx the game and go tell it it's going to go into overtime?
No, I said will it.
What did we do to you?
But we do need an overtime game because we got.
No, I said will it. I didn't say will. I said will.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
No,
it could go overtime. I mean,
it's got possibilities, but no.
Yeah, no, I think we're going to see this regulation one. Now, the next game, you got Crispy's Cowboys going to Mr. Irrelevant San Fran. Chris, I'll let you start. What do you think is going on in this game?
I'm going Dallas in this one. It's kind of what we talked about earlier. Experience over being a rookie. Dak's been in the divisional round before. Granted, he lost, but he's been in this position before. Purdy has not. He's a rookie, and I think that matters a lot.
All right, Tim.
He's like Crispy said that Dallas has been in the divisional divisional round and lost. If I remember right, they lost to the Niners.
No, that was wild. That was wild card.
That was wild card. Oh, that was wild card. Okay, that's right. Niners beat the Packers.
They lost to the Rams in divisional last time.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm wrong. I'll admit you heard it here first. January 22nd, 2023. I can be wrong. But I think this is where this is another one where, I've been on the Purdy train for, I don't know, since the beginning of the season.
Yep.
Yeah, the train stops today. I've got the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, Purdy, that the pressure's going to get to Purdy this time. I think Dallas is going to do a number of things that Purdy hasn't seen yet.
Yeah, this is make or break for Purdy. Hey guys,
we're boring. We're boring, Big B, Crispy. This is not our fault.
No, this is definitely going to be the big test. This is going to be the final exam or the pre-final exam because if he goes next week's going to be. But both defenses are studs. I've always, this whole season I've loved Dallas's defense. San Fran's defense has come on. San Fran's offense is legit. Dallas, above average offense. I'm torn. I'm like 50-50 on this one. I said
This is
San
the
Fran.
overtime game. This
What's
is
that?
the overtime
Oh.
game.
Yeah,
This is going to be the overtime game.
You know what? This could go 2, 3, 6. This could go all night long. This could go, but
this is the overtime game.
What 7 overtimes like
Yeah.
the A&M game?
I'm going to stick with San Fran because I said it earlier. Again, I like Dallas' defense, and if they could show Purdy and Purdy doesn't pass the test, then yeah, we're talking Dallas moving on. But I think it's going to be San Fran moving on. So, with that being said, let's get into our topics, Chris. We're going a little longer than normal, so
Yeah.
let's go with let's just go right to the C2C one.
The rank them?
Yeah, the rank them. We'll start with Tim. All right, C2C ranking. We catch us Tuesdays. Sorry for last week not being on. Some scheduling personal issues came up for myself, but we'll be back Tuesday with C2C ranking with me and Tim. So Tim, your prime 5.
Last night's game, not the Jaguars game, but the Eagles game was working its way to be a blowout. So I thought, why not have the biggest blowouts in playoff history? And so I went with number 5. I went on January 2nd, 1984, between the Washington Redskins. We're going to say the Redskins because they're the Redskins, and the Los Angeles Rams. I think this was the year before they got Eric Dickerson.
Okay.
Before the Rams got Eric Dickerson. The Redskins beat the Rams 51-7 in the divisional round.
Wow.
It's just crazy numbers. And these are playoff teams.
Yep.
Number 4 is the biggest score in Super Bowl history, Super Bowl 24, which the anniversary is coming up on January 28th, 1990, between the 49ers and the Denver Broncos, which was 55-10, which I think
that's where the Niners could score.
Oh, they could have fumbled and scored.
Yeah.
and it was crazy. And I think that's still to this day the biggest loss in John Elway's career.
Possibly, yeah. I would assume so.
Then we follow it up with number 3 between the New York Giants and the aforementioned San Francisco 49ers. In January 4th, 1986. This is a divisional game where the Giants beat the Niners 49-3.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that's Joe Montana. I think that was the year before they got Steve Young as the backup.
Okay.
Then the second year, number 2 I've got, which was the anniversary was Friday, January 20th, 1991, between the Buffalo Bills and the Oakland Raiders. It was the AFC Championship game where the Bills scored 51 and the Raiders scored 3. If I'm not mistaken, that was the week after Bo Jackson had gotten injured against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
Or that game would have been a whole lot closer.
Yep.
And this is going to be the fun one. I think this is the last time all three of the Florida teams were in the playoffs together. And the number is, and it was the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Miami Dolphins on January 15th, 2000 in the AFC Divisional Playoffs. Jacksonville scored 62 points and the Dolphins only scored 7.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that is the biggest point margin in NFL history in a playoff game.
Okay.
And that was in Jacksonville.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So they're saying there's a chance.
Well, I'm glad you didn't do the 41 donut game for Minnesota. That was nice.
I didn't do the two Colts ones. once against the Jets, which I think was 44-0, and then the one against the Patriots, which was 38-7 or something along that line. So yeah, I saved myself too, so don't feel bad. I saved Bacon, but Bacon wasn't on that list.
Yeah. All right. So topic number 2, we'll do stop messing around. Of course, Messer's not here, but we'll brought to you by the Oregon Cougars football women's professional football league that C2C is a part of. Again, if you guys have not watched our show a couple weeks ago where we got to talk with some of the ladies, Chuck Hoffman. It was a great show, great experience. They were asking us questions about ourselves just as much as we're asking about them. Check that out. February, we're going to start our weekly show. I believe it's going to be a weekly show in the den with the Cougars. I think it's going to be called. So check that out. The first game's what? April, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Chris,
Yeah, April, like the end of April. I know that.
Yeah. All right, so stop messing around. So we're gonna go with my team, Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what to say about Donatello getting fired after 1 year. I was looking at both rosters. I don't think it's his fault. I think we had, 8 guys left over from last year's team, 8 to 10 on the defensive side. So people got to stop messing around with these Vikings defenses and say this the defensive coordinator. Got to give them a chance after 1 year. And same thing with Lovie Smith in Houston. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, these teams aren't going to be built overnight after one season. Yes, the Vikings do need defense. I totally get it. I'm going for Lovie Smith to be my defensive coordinator since they got rid of him. But, you know, a lot of fans are, you know, saying it was Ed's fault that the defense sucked. And it's just like, dude, you had 10 guys carry over from last year's defense to this year's team. You got a whole new defense. Give them 2 years. Give them 3. You know, let's see what happens. I mean, we're a 13-4 team. Yes, we shouldn't be 13-4, but again, you know, it wasn't all on the defense. It wasn't all on the offense. So, and then there was a comment up here. Kirk Cousins, again, we don't know what's going on with Kirk Cousins. He's under contract. Nobody's going to take that contract. We're going to keep him. Now, on the other hand, Dalvin Cook has been talked, you know, possibly get moved. I don't want to see it happen, but I could see them moving him, you know, because Madison has actually been showing that he is a number one guy. So we'll see what happens this offseason. Tim's chiming in. Had the Vikings in the playoffs, but the Colts proved they all year the Vikings have shown they're not a Super Bowl team. I've been saying that. You're 11-0 in one-score games. You're not a Super Bowl team. Sorry, you got a point differential under negative. I think it was -2 or 3 going into. You know, you're not a Super Bowl team.
I don't know why they focus
chemistry.
I don't know why they focus so much on point differential.
Because it's just one of those things. Just, you know, points don't matter. I mean, you know, you have one bad game, but the thing is look at the games the Vikings lost. Eagles, Cowboys, Packers. They were all double-digit losses. They got blown out. The Colts game, at halftime, they were down 33-0, came back, and, they won it. But, you know, defense are frauds. So, or the Vikings are frauds, I should say. So, all right. So, guys, with that being said, why don't we get our final thoughts in? So, Tim, I'll start with you.
Again, thanks for everybody for watching. I hope you guys have an Uzi Sunday for playoffs. I think we're going to be looking at a couple possible overtime games. Keep watching us. I think we've got some great shows coming up. C2C Rankum Tuesday with me and Big B. All the other great shows. Just keep it right here. And if you guys got a Fire Stick, download our app on the Fire Stick. I've got it on my Fire Stick. Or watch us on YouTube, watch us on Facebook, watch us wherever you can.
Yep. Working man, weatherman, syrup, crispy bacon.
Thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. It's going to be a great Sunday. Great second half, I guess you'd say, to the divisional round of the playoffs. You know, two teams will make it to the championship games.
I found this on the web for
Stupid phone.
Oh.
So thanks everyone for watching. Tuning in.
Yeah, definitely keep checking us out. Each day we got something going on. Got stuff in the works. Once it's finalized, you guys will definitely know. But with that being said, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for the viewers for chiming in. And we'll see you next week for Championship Sunday. Have a good one.